following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good.
Hi, Tom.
How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Well, good morning and welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world. I'm Paige Clarke.
And we do this to recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Nico and Haan.
And it's a beautiful morning. What exactly temperature is it, Nico?
It is exactly 58 degrees, going up to about 78, 79.
We're kind of living in paradise. We
Yes,
hope
we are.
you're safe, warm, and dry wherever you are. And if you have any questions about our show or you want to participate, ask us a question, give us an idea, something you want us to explore, you can email me at paige@tfnn.com.
And Nico at TFNN.com. We're taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. So the last couple of shows, we've been really talking about things that we want to exclude from our diet, or things that may be good for us in certain forms and other forms maybe not. Like we talked about bread, and we talked about how our ancient ancestors did things to the bread that we don't do anymore that made it healthier, even though not really a health food.
Right, just because they've been eating it doesn't mean it's good, because we have not been preparing food or sourcing it the way that we should.
So I thought today we explain a few different things that affect our health that you may not be thinking of. The first one is in the forefront of health, because everybody knows that sugar is not good for you. But
How can something so sweet be so bad? That's what they said about me.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
No, it is true. It is really something, and I think that this article that we want to share and kind of deconstruct for you will kind of give you a little idea what really goes on in the body when we eat sugar. And
not just sugar, but of course many of the beverages have just part of the sugar in it, which is fructose. And then of course we have other things like honey that don't act the same way, and I think this explains it pretty well.
I think so too.
So table sugar, which is sucrose, consists of two bonded molecules, glucose and fructose. Now, inside the body, the bond is broken and the glucose and fructose are released. Now, the bloodstream picks up the glucose molecules and delivers it directly to any organ that needs it. It delivers it to the brain, also delivers it right to the muscles, kind of keeping it around the muscles.
But the fructose, however, can be metabolized only by the liver, which is involved in handling small amounts, as humans stumbled across the occasional fructose, maybe a little bit of honey here. They see a beehive. You know, ancient humans only stumbled on a little bit, or they gathered a few berries. They didn't eat huge amounts.
Or maybe in the fall, when they came about, they gorged themselves on it, like a bear would or something like that.
Right, seasonally. It was a seasonal presentation of the fructose-containing food items.
Yeah. Now, what's real interesting about fructose is that it doesn't go directly to the organs or the muscles, it goes to the liver.
Right, the liver, it has to
and the liver can only metabolize it into fat for storage.
So you guys starting to connect the dots. This is one thing, you know, we see these food products, or these so-called frankenfoods that are high in fructose, high fructose corn syrup, and we see these obese bellies. But we also see is some of my vegan clients that think they're being healthy because they're drinking a fruit smoothie every day.
Right.
Kind of overdosing on the fructose.
Yeah, so the fructose, which is about 40% of the sugar, so there's quite a bit of it, and it gets converted directly into fat. Now, the drinks like Coca-Cola and the soft drinks that have only fructose in it, all of that goes in for storage. You can't really tap into the energy from the sugar at all, and this is one of the reasons, you know, remember that we said the other day that when we're shutting off when we're storing fat, we can't burn the fat anymore.
Yeah, when we're in a storage mode, we are not in a burning mode. Here's a quote from you, from MD. Lisa Nelson, MD, and a family physician at the Krupelo Center in Massachusetts, says that kind of exponential dose of fructose increasingly distorts human physiology. And so now, Nico, let's kind of go through how some of the ways that this distortion manifests itself in poor health today.
Okay.
You know? So one way is obesity and inflammation.
Yeah.
You know?
And this makes a lot of sense because fructose is really a survival nutrient. In other words, it forces your body into a certain mode.
Yeah.
Very important for animals like bears that hibernate, because without the fructose, they wouldn't be storing the fat. They'd have to eat just 10 times as much.
And look what it does to them. They fall asleep for a season.
Yeah, exactly. So,
kind of like all the men that sit around and watch football.
So just at least the first half, right?
Exactly.
So insulin also is, of course, included in this when the conversion is being done by the fructose. Also, the glucose that's entered into the bloodstream, there might be too much of it, so that's when the insulin gets involved. And then the insulin forces that other sugar to also be stored.
Yeah, and so here's a big picture for you today. With 36% of American adults being obese, it may not actually be the calories, it may actually be this role of fructose in the diet. And since, as you said, the liver has no choice but to convert the fructose into fat, which when, like we said, if you're storing fat, you're not burning it. This creates a cascade of effects on the liver, kidneys. And
so your liver is really working overtime trying to get rid of this. Then the pancreas is working overtime trying to get the insulin out because of the sugar, the sucrose part of it. So now you've got the storage by the liver, we got the storage by the insulin. So all you're doing is storing fat and all the toxins that go along with it. And when we're talking about soft drinks and Gatorade and all these things, these are already the toxins.
Oh, those so-called fitness drinks are not fit. So sugar consumption then is tied to visceral or belly fat, and actually an indication that that distortion the MD referred to is occurring in a rapid way. And the symptoms of metabolic syndrome such as high blood pressure, triglycerides, high blood sugar, and high cholesterol start to manifest themselves.
Yep.
And, you know...
The sugary diets are also behind a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
We're seeing more and more people diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and it really is a result of this hard-to-digest fructose excess.
Yeah. And, of course, not only in our soft drinks, but now they're putting it in our bread. They're also putting it in all our pastries. Remember, fructose is much easier to hold. In other words, it is a liquid already, very easy for them to put it into things. You have to use a lot less of it because it's a lot sweeter. So no wonder that the manufacturers are all behind this. Let's use this stuff. It's much easier for us. We can store it for years. Doesn't really go bad. It's a really win-win for the manufacturing of food. And as we do on this show, we don't use manufactured food. So that lets us off the hook.
And that's a real big thing. But this non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, this was not even a disease 35 years ago. You know, do some tracing and connecting the dots. That's when we started to introduce this frankenfood to the food system. And many, many, many older people now, I had a family member, you know, they're diagnosed with that at the time of their death. What's going on with these older people? They can't digest their proteins, they're eating sugary pastries. See what happens? But what happens now is we got to take a short break.
Yeah, we do, and you can go to breaking news, of course, on the TFNN website and see the big morning stretch here, which this beautiful girl here.
Take a minute and stretch.
Health Signals newsletter.
We'll be right
Primal
back.
Edge. We'll be right back, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And welcome back to the show. We've been talking about how sugar affects certain organs, especially the liver. It affects, of course, the whole digestive system. And, we've got a lot of organs that we kind of just slough off as not being important. Tonsils comes to mind. But this other one, which is an organ that we desperately need, as we're finding out today, but the appendix has been kind of that throwaway organ that you really don't need it. Why were we born with it? Seems to be no use. But as we're finding out now, and you had mentioned during the break that you had your appendix removed when you were...
When I was 28, which is actually kind of an old age, but I got an infection, and at the point where I was, I thought I had the flu. And kind of kept family members at bay and said, oh, I've got the flu, stay away from me. And then I really realized something really bad was wrong, and I got in the car, and I doubled over, and I drove to the hospital. I literally had to call the guy, and they came and got me from the car. And they said I was real close to rupturing, but in hindsight now, I look back that I went through a period of time where I was doing a lot of corporate traveling. And, it just wasn't comfortable in the bathrooms that I was at, and I, held on until I got home, and I think all of that kind of spurred an inflammation to the appendix. And
both of us have had issues when we were young with our gut.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when I think that's kind of what happens. You start wanting to connect the dots. And, the appendix, folks, it really has a surprising purpose. And although it's been notorious for becoming inflamed and infected and in the worst case, rupturing, it's been viewed as an organ that has no purpose, but we now know it truly does. And the new research supports the fact that the appendix indeed serves the purpose to protect beneficial bacteria living in the gut. Today, don't we hear of so many people who having gut problems and dysbiosis and imbalance of their bacteria in the gut? So perhaps if we really started to look at if a lot of this happened at the time that appendix were removed, we might see some correlations there.
Well, I know that my stomach problems began when we moved to Canada, so I was about 7 years old. And as I got into school and started eating more and more cereals and breads and things like that, I had this, what they called a nervous stomach.
Yeah.
And you're just nervous because there's a test, or you're a new kid in school, or whatever the excuse was. And of course, I didn't know any better. Yeah, I whatever's handed to me, I say, okay, I've got a nervous stomach, and that's what I thought I had all my life.
So you owned it for a while.
I owned it for many years until I really started into the primal thinking. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, when I stopped the bread and I stopped the pasta and I stopped the cereals, funny thing, my stomach settled and it was no problem anymore.
And just as we referenced, every once in a while you could accidentally eat a pancake or have a piece of bread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's it's that daily in and out, making it a part of your staple.
That is the thing, the staple.
And it disrupts the biome. And this is really interesting research. Heather Smith, a PhD, she's at Midwestern University, Arizona College of Osteopathic Medicine. She's been studying gastrointestinal traits for some time, and her new research, which is published in the journal Complete Rendus Paleovol, analyzes the presence or absence of the appendix in 533 different mammals, and she's found that the appendix evolved independently in different genetic trees and more than 30 separate times.
Yeah, and it's never been removed. Mm-hmm. In other words,
it never disappears out of the genetic lineage.
Yeah, so once you have the appendix, there's a reason for it, and the reason is
an adaptive purpose, and it's like a little sac that stores your probiotics, your good bacteria. Let's save it for a rainy day. Has the organism run short of good? Oh, let's squirt a few into the system. Well, when you don't have the appendix. So I'm going to say that those of us that don't have an appendix, you should look at the word probiotics and embrace it at every single meal, and look at it as you can probably never get enough. And you need the variety.
Yeah, you need the variety. You really need some of those whole foods like pickles and things like that, and fermented foods, and your tempo, and all these different foods that the Japanese figured out. Remember, when we started having problems with our appendix, it may have been due that we're not digesting our plant food properly, because the bacteria in our stomach, in the large intestines, is to break down all our plant food being grains also, although I don't really call them food. It's eating the grains is really hard on that particular area of the intestines, because the bacteria is really not made to break down the grains in the first place. It is made to break down our vegetables and fruits.
Yeah. So what they did find in their research was that species who have an appendix tend to have higher concentrations of lymphoid tissue in their cecum, which is a pouch that connects the small and large intestine.
And this is for detoxing.
And this type of tissue can play a role in immunity. Our lymph system is very important in our immune system, and it can also stimulate the growth of healthy gut bacteria.
Right.
So it makes sense that the appendix actually serves kind of like a safe house for these beneficial bugs. When you've had your appendix removed, you don't have that benefit of having that little storage, kind of like stored away nuts for a rainy day, right?
Yeah, and the reason for this is because our immune system is tied directly to our digestive system. So in other words, if we're digesting food properly, then the immune system gets a real boost. So if we're not digesting it, then our immune system goes down, so therefore our health goes down, and then removing the appendix makes it worse, even though we didn't know that for many years, but now we do know that.
You know, I mentioned to you that the reason we are what we, disinfect and digest, right?
Right,
you know, when we eat food, it's probably the greatest insult to our immune system. It's like a 5-star alarm goes off, in the body.
When we eat food that isn't
or even
really
when we bring in any food, the body goes on alert. It's an invasion, right?
Oh, I see what you mean, yes.
See, the whole body, the whole lymph, all the white blood cells, everything are saying, do we recognize this? Oh, yeah, that's food. Oh, I recognize that. That is real food.
Yeah, let's go
that's Franken food. No, I don't recognize that. We go into all kinds of things. So understand that there's all kinds of research that shows that our whole white blood cell count is elevated after a meal.
Yeah, and I think our body deals with toxins pretty well on a normal level. But today, because of manufacturing food, because of manufacturing things to get rid of bugs, we've got the insecticides, we've got all the different kinds of chemicals, we've got all kinds of cosmetics that are going into our water system, therefore into our food system. So these are the assaults that Paige talks about that we get on a daily basis in our modern living that we never were subjected to in our primal living.
So when people say, oh, we were designed to get rid of these things, we were designed to get rid of stuff, but not the stuff we're throwing. So let's kind of wrap this article up, because for those of us like myself, what does this study mean to those people who've had their appendix removed?
Okay.
According to these researchers, thank goodness, luckily not much. In general, people who have had an appendectomy tend to be relatively healthy and not have any major detrimental effects, she says. She herself had hers out at age 12, which is normally. Think about it. It's when kids, as Nico said, we were all designed to eat fat from the time we were born. And what do we introduce to our children? Sugary
And you
foods.
make them eat the vegetables.
And we make them eat vegetables that maybe they weren't designed to eat yet. So when we start to connect the dots, it kind of gets very interesting. So some studies have shown, however, that people without an appendix may have slightly higher rates of infection than those with that have the functioning organ. It may take them slightly longer to recover. Combine that with not having your tonsils and adenoids, which I had those removed when I was 3. Do you have your tonsils?
I've got everything.
You got all your parts.
I got every part I've ever been born with.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
It is a good thing, yeah. I think so. Folks, please pick up our Health Signals newsletter. $10 a month gets you 2 issues a month on the first and third Tuesday. So next Tuesday, another one. So stick around, folks. We've got a lot more. The number here is 877-927-6648. We'll be right back.
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back. This is a really interesting show to me because we've really started out with, how something so sweet can be bad for you, sugar. And then we talked about how a lifestyle of eating sugar can inflame organs, namely the appendix, and we lose them, and how that impacts health. And now let's talk a little bit about inflammation and how inflammation actually changes the fat you have in your body. It halts the brown fat, which is the fat burning, or the good fat.
The good fat, and the white fat is the
stimulates
toxic fat.
The white fat.
So the white fat is really where the all the toxins are being held.
Yeah, the body says, I've got too many toxins, I've got to go stick them someplace that's not going to hurt me, and I'm going to stick it in some fat.
Yeah, and the good fat is really the fat that is kind of that little fat layer that's under our skin, surrounds our muscles a little bit.
That's the subcutaneous fat.
Right, and that's the healthy fat, and that's what, like, if you have a big stomach, you've got that nice little lining
fat.
there, but underneath that lining is the white fat. And I was always confused. I always thought the brown fat was the bad fat, but it's actually the other way around.
Yeah, so here's some highlights, and we can expound on that. Abdominal fat is considered much more dangerous than subcutaneous fat because it triggers inflammation and can encourage cardiovascular diseases.
Right.
It also inhibits the inflammatory responses in abdominal fat, and it activates conversion of white fat to brown fat. Okay? And then by administering some immune-stimulating active ingredients, brown fat cells can accelerate fat burning. So really, we could look at shedding excess pounds can simply be melted away if you look at ways to convert unwanted white fat cells into energy-consuming brown slimming cells.
Yeah, and this comes to mind that losing weight can be difficult, and especially if you're
toxic.
If you're toxic, and those toxins, the white cells, the white fat cells, are being burned, this causes a problem because now the cells are activated into the blood, and the blood is carrying this poison, and so that's why the inflammation rises.
Well, I teach people we can't just burn fat. We've got to bind the toxins that live there.
Right.
In other words, if you don't do that, you're not going to detox, you're going to retox. So those toxins that you release from that white fat will get in the blood system, and the organs will say, we don't know what to do with this, let's stick it back in the fat again.
Right. So it kind of gets recycled, not in a good way.
Right.
So our body has a great way of actually trapping the toxins in such a way, kind of like charcoal does. And a lot of
the mediclays.
The mediclays, and this is one of the reasons why people ate dirt years ago.
And we still need to eat a little dirt.
Yeah, and this is why, when your kid is out playing in the dirt, and if you're out in the country, you probably don't have a problem. The dirt is probably pretty clean.
And they've proven that children that get out and are outsiders and play in the dirt and make a couple mud pies, they have a better microbiomes.
And so do people who garden. And it's a natural thing. We're breathing this stuff in. It's in your fingertips. It gets under your nails. It's absorbed by the body in many different ways. So understand that when you lose weight, and if you're releasing these toxins, then you're not going to feel good. And this is just another way of you saying, well, this is too hard. I can't do it. And this stops many people from losing weight.
So these researchers kind of found that, obviously one possible starting point in combating obesity could be to inhibit the inflammatory response in abdominal fat while they administered some immune-stimulating active ingredients that forced the brown cells to become active, the brown fat cells to become active.
Right.
And that's probably something that we want to all look at. And really, I'm going to say, in order to burn the bad fat or the white fat, we really want to look at what's our toxic burden. I told you recently that when I was at the Bulletproof Conference, I did an extensive metal challenge through Quicksilver International, which is Dr. Christopher Sled, who is a foremost researcher in mercury toxicity, determines whether it's, from your fillings, past fillings, is it from inorganic or organic mercury, seafood, and they look for other heavy metal markers. I was rather surprised at my lead levevels.
Yeah, you had mentioned that before.
But not really surprised, folks, because there's two things happening, and I want to point this out to you. 50-year-old woman, what we're seeing is as women get older, pre- and postmenopausal, the bones are not quite as, strong as they were, but they begin to slowly leach things. Well, what have we been storing away in our bones? Where do the heavy metals get stored? in the bones.
They do get,
So maybe some exposure. And I was a renovator of old houses in my 20s. I had a little habit of buying old houses, and I loved to scrape paint.
Maybe some asbestos was in there, lead paint.
No, I scraped a lot of paint.
Yeah, oh, it did?
Yeah,
So it was a
lot of paint.
Yeah.
And I know it was old because it was, pre-20s.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say to you is the state of our water infrastructure. We had Robbie Bessner from Theragoods, that's creating better water, healthier water right from your tap by using a filter system that removes all the additives. But what we have found is that fluoride causes lead to leach from the pipes it travels through. Well, I don't care if you've got PVC pipe in your house. How many lead pipes do you think that water goes through on the way to your house?
Yeah, there's a lot of old pipes out there, for sure.
So it'd be very interesting to find out if more people had challenge tests like this, what the lead levels. We know what's happened in Flint, Michigan.
Now, you had a test. What kind of test was that?
Well, it was a test. Actually, I'm able to offer that to people that want to work with me. I work with a physician on the other side.
Probably important for people to do that.
Well, it's a combination hair, urine, and a blood draw. And we can send them to places to get it done. But there's other ways to work with the metals. The thing to do is to work with someone that can help you detox metals safely. So you support the organs while they're trying to remove them.
Okay.
And the True Cellular Detox program with Dr. Pompa's group, that's fantastic. Easy to administer at your home, because this can get quite expensive if you're going in for chelation and so forth, but we found ways to do it where you become the person running your detox.
Yeah.
And you do saunas like what you're doing at home, and you get infrared saunas that you can purchase, like sites like Theragoods, where they can go there and really set up a system at home to get rid of these toxins that are causing you to have the white fat and not the brown fat. And that's what we want to do, is kind of get rid of those.
Yeah, so these doctors, of course, are doing research to increase the way of this inflammation from stopping, and then the brown fat will help you get rid of the white fat. And this is kind of what I'm getting out of this, is that they're using different compounds that will help the white fat be absorbed by the brown fat. So when it's taken out of the body, it's secure. It's not going to go into the bloodstream. It's going to be going out through the digestive system. That's what I kind of got out of it.
So we all want more brown fat and less white fat, really. Yeah. And how do we stimulate the brown fat?
And it's interesting that our ancient ancestors knew where the fat was. In other words, the American Indian knew that the buffalo had this hump there, and there was, in fact, the white men thought this was the ugly fat because it's kind of pink, and it's real shiny and stuff. So Indians,
they revered it.
They revered it, and that's, if they had to leave a site, they took the fat and the organs, but they left the rest of it. So this is how our ancient ancestors knew the color, the reason for the fat, even though we think in the Western society it's an ugly fat. It's really, and even brown fat, we would think it's ugly. We would think that the white fat would be, it's kind of like white bread. But, we think it's the pure good thing that was good for us, but it's actually, bread is just not good at all.
Well, when we come back, we've got to take a short break, but we're going to share with you immune responses that prevent conversion into slimming cells. So what's happening? We've just talked about how we've got this inflammation. Now let's take it another step. So make sure you pick up some Primal Edge. Stay healthy wherever you are. And we'll be right back after this short break.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionics, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
So we've been talking about how can we convert our bodies to be better fat burners, and we were talking about the research at the University of Bonn, and they've been working with mice that had excess pounds, and they showed how they could simply melt that fat by converting the unwanted white fat cells into energy-consuming brown fat cells. Right. And this can be an interesting approach, and can it be used to counteract obesity for us humans? So in a recent study, the university researchers showed why the inflammatory response that often occurs in overweight people block this kind of fat cell conversion, but there may be a starting point to bypass this inhibition. And they've been publishing this research recently. You know, I know that I believe there's a lot of lifestyle things, and maybe we can go through a few of those here in just a minute. We'll switch over there. And I know that I think there's some seaweeds that sort of stimulate converting the fat. We'll double check into that. It's popping into my head.
Well, there's a lot of things that can stimulate it naturally, and we touched on a couple of them. But one of the first things is that we don't want to be hungry.
Right.
Because the hungry increases the inflammation too, hunger itself.
Sure, it's because it's a stress hormone.
Exactly.
And all stress hormones increase the inflammation. You know, before we get into this list, you know, the vision really is enticing, folks. Think about it. If body fat can simply be melted away with new active ingredients or things you do, then this could also prevent the widespread consequences of obesity, which is going to be this thing that, you know, crashes our healthcare system and all those things that come along with it, joint problems, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases, you know. And so they've been researching how this could be possible for years. And, you know, so let's take a look at maybe what are some things we can do.
Yeah, I think it's important. The number one on the list here is don't starve yourself or even stuff yourself. We rely on hunger-regulating neurons.
Pop-ups.
Pop-ups.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we have these hunger neurons that cause us, and then that creates that cascade of stress hormones of where we think we're starving, so we start to go into fat burning.
Yeah, researchers at the Yale School of Medicine found that in mice, the neurons can actually encourage fat to turn brown. The study published in the journal Cell found that eating too few calories prevent white fat from turning brown, while eating just enough to satisfy hunger promotes the action of the neurons to turn white into brown. Other researchers shows that eating too much can also do the harm as well. Not only does overconsumption increase white fat, but it also interferes with the brown fat's ability to burn calories. So this is really at the forefront of the problem we have in America. Either we're trying to starve ourselves because we don't want to lose weight, or we're overeating because we're binging. So
Isn't that the truth?
Both of them cause a problem.
And
same problem.
The neat thing about intermittent fasting is, I think about that and how a lot of people get really lean. I mean, I'm noticing, I don't mean to digress, but someone was in my office the other day and they're like, have you seen Dr. Mercola? He looks really thin. And a lot of people in that world maybe go a little too far. I don't know. I mean, he feels good. But
we have to understand also what thin really is in our society. If we go down to the mall, I don't think we really can judge because so many people are overweight.
Yeah, it's hard to remember what a thin person looks like. But in any case, what we see is the fact that, but the idea when you're doing intermittent fasting, right, you're still getting adequate calories. You're just going periods where you're not eating and you're getting good calories. As Dr. Pompa says many times, he's having quite a large meal to remind their body, I'm not starving. I just didn't eat all day, Yeah.
So number 2 on the list here is just eating an apple, and this brings to mind apple cider vinegar also.
I love apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, so just eating an apple itself because it's pretty balanced. It's something that probably won't spike your sugar.
It's got enough. It's got enough fiber in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got enough fiber in it that it's not going to really spike anything, and all the digestive enzymes that are in an apple are so good for you.
Right.
And I think apple cider vinegar, same kind of thing. You take a little bit of that, and that helps the digestive system immediately.
Number 3 is just exercise. Get moving.
Just exercise alone, and again, we've got another article in this that really we're going to talk about exercising and maybe overdoing it or not having enough. But exercise on a low level or even a high intense level for a short period of time is the answer right there. It'll start your body converting that white fat into the brown fat so those toxins can be safely taken out of your body.
And we're learning where when a lot of people give up that stressful extended period cardio, they begin converting.
Yeah, because again, we got the stress. The stress of the exercise itself should be enough for people to say.
Can create the fat. Yeah, create the fat.
Another one here is turn down the thermostat. Now, this brings to mind
I sleep 68 degrees at night.
Yeah, so do we. And it's really nice this time of year when you don't really have to put the AC on.
Yeah.
But the other thing is when I get out of the sauna, I plunge into that cold water. And, of course, getting into a cold dip is...
I call it thermotherapy, getting cold and getting hot, getting cold and hot, yes.
And this will also
stimulate the brown fat.
Yeah, so, we have many, many things. What's another one?
And number 5, I really like this one, stimulate your body's natural melatonin production.
And how do we do that?
And what we do is we get some good shut-eye.
Yeah.
And we get to bed when we're supposed to.
Yeah.
And
nice thing, we have a lot of apps now that will tell you when it's bedtime if you want your desired hours of sleep.
And they'll cut down the blue light.
Yes,
so
cutting
that
down
you
the blue light.
Don't inhibit your melatonin production.
Yeah. Remember that the serotonin is being produced by what you eat. And what you're doing, and then when it gets dark and you shut everything down and don't have that blue light, the serotonin starts to convert into the melatonin, which makes us relax.
Hey, and I like this.
And our body cools down.
I'm stealing yours. Not only does the hormone melatonin help regulate our sleep and wake cycles, but there's some research published in the Journal of Pineal Research found that in rats, it increases the presence of beige fat, which is also the brown fat, while it stimulates the brown fat in its calorie burning capabilities. So there you go. Keep your mind. And, we've got a lot of great research on, his name escapes me right here on the spot, but there's an Italian doctor who did research on the antioxidant power of melatonin. He took 2 twin sisters.
Okay.
And one took melatonin and the other one didn't. And the difference in the way they aged, their weight, age, and so forth was rather striking.
Wow.
Yeah, just those 2 things alone. I'm just drawing a blank. I usually have him on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, so now we know there's 5 ways that we can really improve that. So let's go to that other article you mentioned.
Which one was that?
Well, you mentioned that we were going to go over an article that had to do with exercising.
Well, I'm going to save that for the next thing. I really, there's so many things that we can do on a daily basis to not get our inflammation up, which helps convert this white fat into, and of course, getting a proper breakfast. Eating, not high carbs in the morning.
Right, not starting out into a situation where you're telling your body to store fat.
That's right.
If anything, give yourself the fuel, our original fuel, some fat.
And I think the other thing is some of the lifestyle things like yoga, meditation, that we do. So quiet times also has a great effect on our body, first of all, to calm everything down. And when I think of calming things down, I think that the inflammation leaves too.
Right.
So this is one of the important things that our ancient ancestors knew about, you know, getting yourself into a state where you're going to be kind of mellow for a while.
I like it. And, you know, we look at a lot of the Asian cultures and a lot of these cultures that build their life around these meditative practices, they stay very healthy for a long time.
Yeah, they sure do.
So we will be going to a break, but we'll come back and discuss how often should you exercise and the health benefits and how it might impact your risk of death. You know, is it similar for exercisers or for people who are couch potatoes? We're going to explore that a little bit.
That's right, folks. Pick up some Primal Edge while you're on the break.
Subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll get it every 2 weeks. Like clockwork.
Yeah, and also take a look at, of course, the Wake Up Stretch.
Get up and stretch.
We'll be right back, folks.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of The Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Join John Logan as he teaches you trading techniques utilizing the TAS Profile Scanner. The Global Market Pulse, next on TFNN.
So what do you think about this? The health benefits and the death risk are similar for frequent and infrequent exercisers, a study says. And it says that people who sporadically exercise might be reaping the same exact health benefits as those who hit the gym routinely or daily. And who knows, that could be that whole issue of the stress hormone if you're overdoing it.
I think so. Mm-hmm. And I notice as I get older, I take longer breaks, mm-hmm. and it really doesn't diminish the next time I work out or the next time I'm on the mat with my buddies. So, and this was actually a surprise to me because I keep pretty good tabs. For many years, I kept a journal, when I was running.
But when I was started jiu-jitsu, it kind of changed my mind about that particular thing because it's just so exhausting and things. But one thing I did find out is that if I get more rest, there's less inflammation, less things are bothering me, and doesn't seem to be any downside to it for me.
Here's this. This research, guys, was in JAMA Internal Medicine. Mm-hmm. It says the researchers in England's Loughborough University conducted the study, found that the risk from death for all causes was 30% lower for those who exercised infrequently when compared with those who remained sedentary. Additionally, death rates for so-called weekend warriors were relatively similar to those who said they exercised more than 2 days a week for shorter periods of time. So infrequent exercisers actually had an 18% lower cancer risk and a 40% lower risk of death from cardiovascular disease than non-exercisers.
And there's another component that is important in this, because when we don't exercise, and with all the propaganda about how important exercise is, especially the way we're doing it today, brings another stress level in there, which in other words gives you more inflammation just by thinking about, oh, I missed it, what am I doing myself, am I killing myself, when am I going to catch up? In our busy world today, we don't need other stresses like that. So one of the liberating things about this is that now I don't feel guilty about if I don't go to jiu-jitsu, or if I say I've got
because you're still getting benefits, because that's what this article is saying. Certainly exercise is beneficial over the sedentary person, but it's not like, I think a lot of people have this 0 to 60 mentality. If I can't be in the gym every week, I might as well not do anything. Right. So they do nothing. But instead, even if you just get out once or twice a week, you're getting great benefits.
Yeah,
you know?
During this whole vacation thing, we were on the road and things, and of course, exercise, you don't get much of it. And of course, all these hotels have gyms and everything like that, but I purposely don't go to them. Now when I'm, it's stressful enough being on the road in a sense, driving and things like that.
So I mean, these findings, we're saying that they suggest that physical activity, even if it's isolated or it's low activity, is certainly better than no activity for reducing risk and mortality. And these findings conflict with government recommendations for physical activity. The American Heart Association urges adults to exercise for at least 30 minutes moderately 5 days per week, or at least 25 minutes 3 days per week.
Vigorously 3 days a week.
Right. It also recommends an additional 2 days of moderate to high intensity muscle strength training. So these organizations that are considered to be the experts have been really pushing. You've got to do it, you've got to do it. But in fact, that's not what's panning out in the research.
No, and when you look at the shows on TV about exercise, it's always constant moving, constant, keep going, do more. You're doing great, and The Biggest Loser is one of the biggest
farces.
Yeah.
And so what we know now, when we follow leaders in the intermittent fasting world, Pampa and Mercola's saying it, Ben Grenfell Fitness. I mean, they're talking about doing burst training for 15-20 minutes 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah,
guys.
And remember that your peak as an athlete is really around 30 years old. So as you get into your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, then the thing is, please slow down.
And take the time to stretch, detox, use massage. I mean, Nico, you've been a really great proponent of stretching, and that's activity too.
That's right.
So I think we're out of our activity time today.
Yeah, but John Logan is next on TFNN with the Global Market Pulse. So stick around for that. We got shows all the way through till 6 o'clock tonight, folks. So stick with TFNN.
Stay connected to TFNN.
TFNN.com is the place to be.
Have a wonderful day.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.